Welcome to the Dom Sub Devotion podcast. Every episode of Dom Sub Devotion is an authentic reflection of our real life in a loving 24/7 DS marriage. If you crave the passion and intensity of a power exchange dynamic inside of a deeply loving and intimate relationship, you've found the right place. You can always find more from us in the show notes and at infinitedevotion.com. Thank you for listening.
Welcome back to Dom Sub Devotion. In today's episode, I'm going to outline some of the ways that dominance, when we approach dominance as men from an internal perspective, meaning it's not about what we do in our relationship, it's about who we become as a man, how we become the strongest, most solid, unshakable version of ourselves. When we do that, how it impacts not only our relationship, but every single area of our life. And I decided to record this episode because I've been hearing so many stories lately from men who I work with in my courses, in my coaching work, in our group containers, where they're noticing the impacts of how their approach to inner dominance is impacting their life outside of just a dom-sub dynamic. So I share this with you today because I know that as men grow into this dominant frame, there can become a tendency for us to want to direct all of this energy only into our relationship, or to only look for the evidence that it's worth it by the way that our woman is showing up. And the bigger point of doing this work isn't about just the relationship. Absolutely, becoming a more dominant man, becoming a stronger, more solid, grounded, clear, untriggerable man is going to impact your relationship. But it is going to impact every area of your life. Because dominance from this perspective isn't about a role that you play in your relationship. It is about the man that you are. And when you do this work to become more clear, to become more grounded, to root your leadership in internal truth, to base your life on values, to stand for something, it is going to show up in all different parts of your life. It's going to show up in your relationship to yourself. It's going to show up in your career. It is going to show up in the way that you feel your social influence. It's going to show up with better boundaries and emotional clarity. It's going to show up in how you show up as a leader. It's going to impact your health and your body. It's going to impact your personal integrity. It's going to impact your fatherhood. If you're a father, it's going to impact the way that you parent. It's going to impact your creativity. It's going to impact your spiritual experience. All of these things are ways that building a more dominant frame are going to improve and impact your life beyond your relationship. So I want to go through each one of these today and talk a little bit about each one of them. Before I do, I'm really excited about this. I've just released a new free email series called Unshakable. And Unshakable is a series of 7 emails over 7 days that walk you through some of the basic lessons of how to embody this kind of dominance. If you want the kind of results that I'm talking about here in this episode in your life, go into the show notes or go to infinitedevotion.com/unshakable. And unshakable is spelled with an E in the unshake. infinitedevotion.com/unshakable. Sign up for this free email series. It comes with a massive bonus. I've never done this before. I give you access to a limited part of my course, Becoming a Dominant Man, for free for 7 days, to give you a chance to go in there, learn a few of the lessons, see what the course is all about. You can even attend one of our weekly men's group calls that I do on Wednesday mornings. They're at 7 a.m. Central Time if you're in the US. If you're in Europe, it's probably in the early afternoon. So as a part of this free email series, you get access to a week of limited access to that course. I'm giving it all away because I want this for you. So go into the show notes, sign up for that free email series right now if you want the things that I'm talking about here in this episode. So where I want to start is talking about how building a sense of dominance impacts your relationship with yourself. Dominance starts within. It's an internal state. It's an internal mastery of your own emotional, physical, psychological state. And when we build that kind of mastery, what it does for us is it sets a foundation for everything else in our life. The way that we relate to ourselves is how we relate to the world outside of us. So as you build a sense of internal strength and internal dominance, first and foremost, it is going to help you learn to trust yourself. When I say trust yourself, I mean trust your instincts, trust your intuition, trust your decisions, to give you the trust in yourself to follow through on the things that you want to do. It's going to give you a different perspective on integrity, self-integrity. A dominant frame, in the way that I teach this, will help you become more disciplined. It'll help you become more reliable. And it will help you become more self-accountable. How many times have you felt like you needed an accountability partner? You needed somebody to help you follow through on the things that you want to do. But if you want to do them, why should you need someone else to hold you accountable? When you build this trust in yourself, when you improve your relationship with yourself, when you improve your self-talk, because you feel better about yourself, you will be able to hold yourself accountable to the things that matter to you, to the things that you want. You won't need accountability partners. You won't need people to help you do the things that you want to do. And it will improve your relationship with yourself by reducing your self-doubt. If you're a man who questions yourself, if you're a man who doubts yourself, if you're a man who's hard on yourself, this work to embodying dominance, inner dominance, will shift your internal dialogue from a state of hesitation, fear, obligation, guilt, into a life where you can live with confidence. You can feel confident. You can feel clear. You can feel like you go through your life with a sense of your own strength rather than a sense of doubt. And I've watched this with men over and over and over again, where they start down this path because they want to be in a dom-sub relationship. And by all means, this is the kind of relationship you want to be in. It's fantastic. It's incredible. And as you do the work that it takes to be able to be a dominant in a dom-sub relationship, you are going to have to become stronger. As you become stronger, that's where this trust comes in for yourself, this integrity with yourself, this reduction in self-doubt, because you have to show up differently. You don't just get to boss someone around because she puts a collar on and get everything that you want. It takes your own inner strength to be able to lead someone. And as you build that strength, you get to see for yourself the kind of man that you're becoming, and you'll feel better about yourself. Another place that this inner dominance shows up, and I've seen this again, time and time again, it's in your finances and in your career. Men who embody dominance, who are powerful, who are in touch with their power, but who are also open in their heart, naturally rise. They rise professionally, they rise financially, they rise creatively, because these are the kind of men that people can trust. These are the kind of men that people respect. You can become the kind of man who people bring opportunities to because they want to work with you. And part of how this plays out is, in order to be a dominant man, you have to be good at making decisions. You have to get clear with your decision making. And so as you embody this sense of inner strength and this sense of dominance, you're going to become a better decision maker. It's a part of the process. As you trust yourself, as we just talked about, you build this sense of really self-respect. You're going to be a better decision maker. You're going to make more effective decisions because you're going to be practiced at doing that. This is what I've done inside of our relationship all the time, is I've gotten better and better and better at leading and guiding and making decisions. I used to be very indecisive. I used to really focus on, what does Dawn want? What does she want? How do I give that to her so she's happy? And then if she's happy, I'm happy. The classic nice guy approach, right? That's how I did it. And as I realized how much that was playing out in our relationship, and I worked to change that pattern. So I could remember that I get to have an opinion. I have to know what I want and allow her to come along with me. And I can stay open to her. I'm going to hear her. I'm going to listen to her. Yes, of course. But I'm not going to make my decisions all about what pleases her and constantly be afraid of upsetting her. Because if I do that, now she's in charge. She's in the lead. Neither one of us feels good about ourselves. So as I've gotten better at being the leader, the decision maker, getting clear with her and inside of this relationship, it showed up in the way that I run my business. It showed up in the way that I lead my clients. It showed up in the way that I make financial decisions and investment decisions. It's made all of this of my life better. It's made me a better negotiator. Holy shit, guys. If you ever struggle with negotiation, with speaking up for what you want, and claiming what you are owed or what you deserve, to be a clear negotiator, you have to be like these characteristics of dominance: empathetic, open-hearted, firm, clear, direct, able to listen well. These things play out extremely well in making you a great negotiator. Without having to be aggressive or controlling or forceful, you don't beat it out of someone. You really can listen, and you can really lead a negotiation towards the outcome that you want. There's a great book by a guy, I think his name is Chris Voss, called Never Split the Difference. He talks in this book at length about how you never negotiate well by finding the middle ground. What you do is you look with empathy at the position the other person is in and listen to them and lead them towards the outcome that you want. And then around finance and career, the world, you heard me say this on an episode probably a couple months ago with Chris Bale, where I reflected his words back to him, where I said that most women, it's no wonder that most women ever trust men, because most of them have never met one. And what we're talking about here is this kind of powerful, open-hearted man that most women have never met, but also most men have never met one. And most people have especially never experienced themselves being this kind of man. And so when you become this man, you build this relationship with yourself, and you connect to your inner strength, and you connect to your power, the world is going to start to seek you out, because you are going to be such a unique and magnetic figure. Doors open naturally to these kind of men. If you've ever met someone where it just seems like opportunities land in their lap, you can become that kind of man. You become that kind of man by developing this clarity, by developing this empathy, opening up your heart and connecting to your power. So I see this all the time with men that I'm working with, where their careers improve, their finances improve, they start getting better direction on budgeting, and whatever it is that they've maybe struggled with in the past, it gets more clear, and they start making better decisions. And maybe they find better jobs, they leave jobs, they find new opportunities, they make better investments, and their lives improve significantly. I've had men walk away from jobs that don't serve them anymore and open themselves up to better opportunities and find them. So working on yourself and your dominant frame will help you financially. It will help you in your career. Another part of life that it will absolutely affect, and it's related to career, is your social influence, your magnetism. Because a man who embodies dominance naturally draws people towards him. People want to be around men who are strong, who are solid, who can offer direction and leadership. And this will transform your social presence and your interactions. If you have ever felt like an awkward person if you've ever felt socially anxious, this kind of work is how you get underneath those feelings and start bringing a more solid, grounded, clear frame into your life. And people want to be around that. People ache to be around that. A part of the reason for this is that as you do this work, and in my course, Becoming a Dominant Man, the first step of the 12 steps to dominance that I lead men through in this course is taking 100% responsibility for your life. The second step is taking care of yourself first. You start doing just those two things and you start feeling better about you. You stop approaching life like a victim. You start prioritizing yourself. And when you do that, it changes how you feel about you, which then reflects back in the relationships that you have outside of yourself. People see you differently because you start to see yourself differently. You stop worrying about approval, and you get to start genuinely enjoying connections with other people, because you don't need them to validate you anymore when you start taking care of yourself. You get your validation from inside. And so when you can drop the neediness that causes most awkward or anxious social situations, which is really just a neediness for approval, a neediness for validation, needing other people to like you for you to feel okay about yourself. When you undo the patterns that have you showing up in that way in your life, people are going to want to be around you more, and it's going to feel more comfortable for you to be with other people, with men and women both, in sexual, romantic relationship settings, and in the workplace, and in your friendships. Everything improves when you improve yourself. People think that you eliminate social anxiety by trying to fix the social anxiety. That won't ever work, because it's like trying to put a Band-Aid on a massive gash. What you have to do is get underneath why you're bleeding in the first place. You have to get down to the truth of what's actually going on. It's that self-abandonment that's causing you to feel uncomfortable. When you do that, everything just gets easy. And you will start to show up as a more charismatic person. If you think about the person that you maybe know in your life, or that you've known in the past, who is charismatic, people just want to be around him. People are instinctively drawn to someone who knows who they are. And I guarantee that person that you're thinking of, they know themselves. They just are who they are. They don't apologize. They don't perform. They don't act. They just do what they want, and it makes people want to be around them. And when you do this and you practice this, you become a social leader. You become the person that people turn to. It places you at the center of a social circle. It places you in the middle of interactions. A great example of this is that as I'm recording this right now, Dawn and I are in Sedona, and we were out last night watching some music, and there was this guy that came into the two of us were talking. We met some other people, and then this guy came in and started talking to the group. And this guy was so charismatic. He was so comfortable in his own skin that the whole conversation started to revolve around him, what he had to say. He was being playful, he was being silly, a little self-deprecating. And I observed this, and I watched this, and I watched the way that people are just kind of gravitated towards this guy, right? There's a gravity, there's a gravitas to a man who's really comfortable in his own skin. And this is a part of having a dominant frame. When you do this work to improve your relationship with yourself, you also then improve the way that you are perceived by others, not by trying to get anything from them, but because you don't need to get anything from them. Because you feel good about yourself regardless of what they think about you. When you remove that neediness, instead, what comes in its place is magnetism. The next way that I see this work around inner dominance playing out and improving men's lives outside of their relationship is just in their ability to set boundaries and have emotional clarity within themselves. Because when you work to become a dominant man, it transforms how you hold and set emotional boundaries. When you get better at doing that, which you have to do in order to be a truly dominant man. If you want to be a dominant inside of a dom-sub relationship, you're going to need to be good at setting and holding boundaries. That's a essential part of the game. When you do that, not only do you become a better leader, but you protect yourself. You protect your energy. You're able to live more in alignment with your values. Be yourself more fully. This is the third step in the 12 steps to dominance that I teach inside of that course. It is living according to your own code. So you have to define your values, then you have to live by them. And in order to live by your values, in order to align your life so that you are congruent with who you are, who you say you are, and who you want to become, you're going to also have to say no very cleanly and firmly to what isn't in alignment for you. When you can say no clearly, it allows you to protect yourself. You're looking out for yourself. You're taking care of yourself by setting boundaries. And this helps you in every single part of your life. This sense of dominance will help you remove the guilt and the hesitation that you feel around boundary setting. Because if you can learn to do that, especially in a relationship with someone that you love, if you can maintain healthy boundaries and still be open and loving with that person, if you can do it there, you can do it anywhere. There's nowhere that it is harder to set and maintain boundaries than inside of a romantic relationship. When you get that right, your no becomes a very powerful word. Because now you can learn to say no from a calm, firm, respected place. When you can learn to say no, that is not how this is going to go. Or I will not participate in anything that looks or feels like that. Without shutting yourself down or running away. You have set a frame that protects your energy. It also helps you prevent burnout. I see this all the time. This is probably top 5 most common challenges that men face as they're starting out in this world of wanting to be in a dom-sub relationship, is it feels like they're going to get burned out. It feels like there's so much responsibility to take on that they're going to get overburdened, overloaded, and eventually burn themselves out. And the only reason that it feels that way is because they don't also possess the ability to set and maintain healthy boundaries. So they assume that they're going to just get run over with all of this responsibility. So this is why dominance and boundary setting go hand in hand. You have to have these clear boundaries around your time, your emotional availability, to preserve your clarity, to preserve your vitality, to preserve your sense of power. You have to take care of yourself. And boundaries are how you love yourself. They're how you show your partner and the people around you in your life that you respect yourself. And also, in learning how to handle feminine emotion inside of a relationship, you're learning how to be present with the emotions of others without letting them become attacks on you. How to receive, how to feel, how to be attuned and attentive, how to transmute that energy into power. It allows you to build a skill set that very few men have, which is the ability to be present with chaos, to be unaffected by chaos in the world around you. So you can be with the emotions of people. You can be with the discomfort of chaotic situations. And you can attune yourself. You can listen. You can have empathy with the emotional state, not only of your woman, but of anybody that you're around. Again, in the workplace, in friendships, in your family. This ability to be emotionally open, because you are no longer threatened by the emotions of others, it allows you to be a better listener. It allows you to be more empathetic. So instead of needing to absorb or manage or control the emotional state of others to help you feel okay, to help you feel safe, you can allow people to have their own experience. And then you can lead them rather than needing to control them. It completely changes your experience of what it means to relate emotionally, because you're doing the work internally and you're learning how to set these solid boundaries. This also makes a big impact on your ability to be a leader. If you are becoming a dominant man, you are becoming a leader. You're becoming a man who can lead and impact not only in your relationship, but in your career, in your community, in your family. The process of becoming a dominant man is the process of becoming unshakable. Again, I'll remind you down in the show notes, I have a link to a free email series called Unshakable. A 7-day email series that teaches you some of the lessons about how to go about building this kind of dominance. As you do this work, you are creating a leadership and an ability to lead that's rooted in consistency, that's rooted in integrity, that's rooted in clarity, that's rooted in being able to generate real trust. And when you can generate and hold real trust, that starts with the trust you have in yourself, all the way back to my first point. When you're able to generate that kind of trust, that kind of consistency, people will be able to follow you more. You will be a better and more effective leader in every part of your life. The process that I take you through in the Becoming a Dominant Man course, I actually have a free little version of this on my blog. You can look up as well on infinitedevotion.com, and it's called Core Values Exercise for Dominant Men. But as I work you through this process of becoming and claiming your inner dominance, it's going to clarify your vision for your life. Who are you? What do you stand for? What do you want? And where are you going in your life? It's not just about your relationship. It's about your whole life. The sense of dominance will become pervasive. It will flow through every single part of your life, because you won't be able to develop the skills that you need inside of a relationship, the leadership skills you need inside of a dom-sub relationship, without also being now in possession of those leadership skills, and they're going to show up in everything else. When you clarify your vision, people want to follow men who have a vision, who know where they're going in their life. When you can communicate your vision, when you know who you are, you know where you're going, you know what you stand for, it inspires others to follow you. This is what you have to do with a submissive if you want a submissive to follow you. I'm going to plug another one of my courses here. It's called Structuring Your DS Dynamic. In that course, I walk you through how to build a vision for your relationship, how to communicate that vision with your submissive, and then how to lead her towards that vision. This is leadership. These are basic leadership skills. Creating a vision, sharing it, and helping those following you see their place that they have in the fulfillment and realization of this vision. This is how you lead people. You lead your submissive well, you're going to lead everyone else well. And leaders who have worked to embody their inner strength and open up their hearts are going to navigate challenges better. They're going to navigate chaos better. They're going to navigate conflict more calmly, because they're internally grounded, because you've developed a sense of internal solidity. So you can handle the challenges that come up without getting knocked out of your own internal state. And what's more important as a leader than to be able to stay grounded in your internal solidity regardless of the circumstances? So if you can do this, again, in a relationship, it's the same skills that you're going to bring into every other part of your life if you want to be a great leader. Another place that this inner dominance work plays out outside of relationships is in the way that it impacts your health and your body, your physical mastery. This work towards building inner strength is going to transform your relationship with yourself. Again, I've been talking about this in several of these points. But as you set good boundaries, as you learn to trust yourself, as you build a sense of internal strength, that self-respect, that self-trust is going to play out in how you treat yourself. You're going to feel better about yourself, so you're going to treat yourself better. You're going to take care of yourself better. You're going to unwind any beliefs and limiting beliefs that have you acting in ways that are less than respectful towards your own body. When you care about yourself, when you like yourself, you're going to treat yourself better. You're going to take better care of your body. As you work through these steps, as you become more solid inside of yourself, it is naturally going to lead to a powerful commitment to fitness, to nutrition, to overall wellness and health. It has to. They go hand in hand. One of the things I've caught more crap about in my work than almost anything else is telling women that you should never submit to a overweight, unhealthy man. Because if he does not possess the level of internal strength and care for himself to take care of his physical body, then there's something missing. There's something going on inside of him that isn't fully trustworthy. You need to take care of yourself, but you can't just force yourself into actions that don't align with who you are. When you change how you feel about yourself, the way that you want to take care of yourself changes. And that is how you make a difference. When you do this work, again, to build this sense of self-trust, when you like yourself, when you take care of yourself, you're going to hold higher standards for yourself and those around you. And holding high standards directly translates to better energy, better stamina, better health. You're going to be a more energetic person. When you hold a high standard for your fitness, for the food that you eat, for the way that you sleep, for the way that you take care of yourself, for the way that you hydrate yourself, when you hold these high standards and you value your health and your fitness more fully, you're going to be more energetic. You're going to be more vital. This is going to make you better, again, not just in your relationship. Make no doubt, the better you take care of yourself, the more physically attractive you are, the more that women are going to want you, period. Look around your life and see how many people are really actually fit, who really actually take care of themselves. It's very few. It's sad. But that also means the bar is very low. You can become a 1% man with a surprisingly small amount of effort. And I can't let this part of this teaching go by without also talking about your grooming and your physical appearance, right? The same thing that applies with fitness and with nutrition, overall wellness and health, is going to apply with how you take care of yourself in terms of your grooming, in terms of the way that you dress yourself. If you really care about yourself and like yourself, you're going to want to dress better. You're going to want to get more frequent haircuts. You're going to manage your body hair, guys. You're going to take care of the way that you look and present yourself because you want to be perceived by others in the same way that you feel about yourself. Not because you're trying to get something from them, but because now your physical image is a portrayal of what's going on inside. It's congruent. So, yes, you start doing these things and taking these actions while you are doing this emotional work, and you're working to clarify your own sense of your inner dominance. Absolutely. But it becomes a natural part of how you perceive yourself and then how you present yourself. And the last part around health and your body and your physical mastery is that having a sense of internal strength that is powerful, it's going to shift your mindset towards things like pain and discomfort and physical challenge. Your ability to be solid regardless of circumstances is going to teach you how to use discomfort and pain and challenges as tools for growth rather than as things you need to avoid. So rather than running away from things that make you feel uncomfortable, you're going to learn to run towards them because the lessons you need to learn are in those challenges. And so you will seek them out. You will become better at handling challenges and discomfort. And this is one of the things that has been the biggest impact for me, because I was not the kind of man who took care of myself physically. I've told the story before in this podcast about how after Dawn and I got married, I put on a whole bunch of weight, and I was close to 300 pounds. And my health was suffering. My fitness was obviously terrible. I didn't take care of myself or dress well or groom myself well. I was a slob. And as I started doing this work, really like 10 years ago, on building up a stronger internal sense of self, I didn't have to even try that hard. It was almost a natural part of my development that I was motivated to take care of myself in new ways. So I didn't get in shape by forcing myself to get in shape. I got in shape because I wanted to start taking care of me. And that's a big difference, because that's something you can maintain when you're not trying to work against something, but you're working with your sense of self-worth and your sense of value that you carry. Another place that this inner dominance work plays out in improving men's lives is in your personal integrity. In order to be a truly dominant man, integrity is non-negotiable. You must live with a deep honesty, a deep level of accountability, a deep level of internal congruence. I've used that word a couple times now, but it's important to mention that the work of becoming dominant is the work of becoming the same in every situation. It's not about how I present myself or how I want these people to perceive me. It is not about the way that I am at work or the way that I am with my woman. It's about being yourself regardless of the circumstances and letting the circumstances adjust to you. Living with integrity. A lot of people hear that and they think, well, I don't lie. I tell the truth. But that is a kindergarten level of integrity. True integrity is being in alignment, being the same regardless of your circumstances and regardless of your surroundings and regardless of who you're with. This is living from truth, not from image. An embodied sense of dominance dismantles your need to perform or pretend, and it helps you become radically authentic. It helps you hold firm internal standards so that you can live with a sense of inner peace. Like, what would that be like, to feel at peace inside of yourself in every moment? That's what this is about. Self-respect, trustworthiness. And a man who can be and live with this level of integrity is naturally going to draw respect, opportunities, abundance. The world around him, again, will want to be around him because he's trustworthy, because he's honest. And when you develop these skills that you need if you want to be trusted by a submissive enough for her to let go of control and follow you and obey you, If you want that, the skills you will develop will play out and improve, again, every other part of your life. I know this sounds like a broken record, but I'm telling you, men, this work changes everything because it changes you. This is one that just came up recently in a conversation I was having with a man that I work with about how his work in his inner world was changing his relationship with his children. How he was more open, how he was more attuned to what they are feeling. He became less forceful with getting them to do what he says. And he started to listen to them more, treat them more like human beings. And he noticed himself being able to guide his children with a more calm authority, give them more clarity, do less of the pleasing behavior with his children. Right? Rather than asking them what they want and then seeing if he can give it to them or disappointing them if he can't, he just started telling them what was going to happen, what they were going to do, how it was going to go, what time to be ready. The same way that I encourage men to lead their submissives. Listen, hear them, care, but then don't put them in the position to be the one in charge. Your children don't want to be in charge. They want a parent to lead them and guide them. So they need to be heard, they need to be seen, they need to be held, and they need to be led. Children deeply need and respond very positively to parental figures who have clear standards and consistent boundaries. And the work to become a dominant will also help you bring those traits to your children. It's also leading by example. You are doing this kind of work that is helping you become a more solid, dominant man inside of yourself. And you are teaching your children how to trust their own strength, how to value themselves, how to live with integrity, how to be present, how to set boundaries, how to take care of yourself. All of these things that you are doing in this work to become dominant. It's not about showing them the dom-sub relationship. You may or may not, and you'll have to decide and figure out what works for you, how much of that they get to see. But the bigger point is, the man that you're becoming in order to be able to lead a submissive is the kind of parent that children need as well. You can be an emotional anchor for them. Your inner strength, your emotional clarity will help your family navigate stress or conflict or uncertainty or chaos without collapsing, because you will be strong enough to hold everything together. So being a dominant doesn't just make you better for your submissive. It makes you better for the people in your family. It helps you lead your family better. Another place this plays out in life is in fuel for your creativity, for your passion, and your purpose, because as you do this inner strength work, you become more free from perfectionism, from self-doubt, from performance anxiety, from worrying about whether or not people are going to approve of you. And you learn to embody dominance in a way that eliminates hesitation. You stop having to censor yourself because you're afraid of perception. This helps you become more creative and express yourself more powerfully. It's going to boost your productivity because it boosts your motivation. Again, this is about a sense of how you feel about yourself. This is about how you take care of yourself, how you love yourself. And when you value yourself that highly, you are going to be more motivated to create in whatever way you are creative. But your creative output and the quality of your work will absolutely improve when your relationship with yourself improves. This inner dominance work really enables you to boldly claim your passions and to pursue them without apology or without second guessing yourself, because you value yourself, that you want to share yourself and your passion with the world. So the trust and the self-care and the valuing of you will help you become more productive creatively. And this plays out for me again in my life so much around the work that I do in this infinite devotion business. Everything that I create that is an expression of the man that I've become through the relationship that I have with Dawn. All of this, I'm driven to share this. I'm driven to create this podcast, to create this free email series, to create the courses that I create. Everything that I do, I'm driven to do it because I want other people to have this experience of life that I'm having. I want this for you. It's so worth it. And so when you're driven by your experience of your internal self, you create more, you create better things. And the last part of this that I want to bring up here today about how dominance work affects your life outside of your relationship is in your spiritual journey. So many times I see men who start embracing their spirituality and their heads get all lost in the clouds. We get these woo-woo, like live, love, and laugh men who completely lose any sense of groundedness, because it feels like spirituality is all about getting into your heart and your feels. But dominance work allows you to ground your spirituality in strength, so you can be open, you can be spiritually connected, emotionally available and connected, but also solid. It's rooted into a profound presence. It's authentic embodiment. It's being a solid man with an open heart. The same characteristics that you need to build to be able to lead a submissive woman inside of a relationship are going to bring about a profound presence. They're going to bring about a profound internal calm and stillness. And this is going to help to give you the capacity to hold space for other people and for yourself. As you embrace your dominance, you are going to clear out, you're going to have to clear out a lot of the deeply rooted shame and guilt and fear, not just around spirituality, but around your emotional experience, around relationships, around love. And when you clear fear and shame and guilt and somatically stored trauma out of your system, you become a kind of man who can hold a much deeper sense of presence, that can hold a much deeper sense of stillness. And that maps over directly into your spiritual experience, your ability to connect to the energy beyond you requires the same things that dominance requires. And this allows you as a man to have a spiritual practice that is genuine, that's authentic, it's embodied, not this performative, sit around in a circle and drum game that a lot of these spiritual men like to play. This isn't about taking plant medicine and crying in a big circle. This is about becoming solid. So the work that you do to become dominant will make you a more spiritually grounded man. So to wrap this up today, I hope that this has given some motivation to you if you're a man who seeks a dominant submissive relationship or wants these kind of relationship dynamics, to realize and recognize that the value extends outside of the relationship, and that you have to bring the focus and the reason that you want to be a dominant back into yourself. This is first, foremost, and always will be about your inner sense of strength. That is what allows you to lead a submissive, but that is also what allows you to become a more solid man across the spectrum of your life. And that's what this is really about. This is about becoming healthier. It's about having better integrity. It's about more self-trust. It's about being a better leader. It's about being a better parent. It's about your spiritual journey. All of these things are driven from the same place. They're driven from your own relationship to yourself. So my challenge to you as a man listening to this episode is to identify one area where you feel your own strength not being fully embodied, and commit to exploring that edge, pushing into that edge a little bit about what is it that needs to change inside of you. Not that you're performing better spirituality or better leadership or better parenting, but what is it that goes on inside of you that keeps you from showing up as the best that you can be in that part of your life. Explore that edge. Lean into that. Ask yourself the challenging questions. Why am I like this? What is it inside of me that causes me to act differently than I know that I could? And I encourage you to integrate your sense of strength and dominance into your entire life. Look beyond your relationship. Develop the skills that will allow you to be better in your relationship, and then bring those into every single part of your life. Because this is the final lesson here, and I don't want you to miss it. An important, I would even say essential part of being perceived as dominant in your relationship by your partner is about the life that you live, not the things that you do or what you tell her to do and not to do. It is the life that you live. It's the man that you are that shows her the kind of dominance that you possess. And so the more that you bring your dominance into every single part of your life, the safer she will feel to submit to you, because this is the portrayal of congruence. It's showing that you are this man, that you're not just playing a role, you're not just acting out a part, but you are this man. And when you can show that with your actions, with the way that you're living your life, you make it feel safer for her to let go of control, because your strength now has shown up in your life in a way that feels real, because it is. So thank you for tuning in to this episode of Dom Sub Devotion. I hope it's made an impact for you. Remember, in the show notes, I have a free email series called Unshakable. You can tune into that. Click the link in the show notes. It'll take you to our website where you can give us your email address, and I will send you 7 lessons over 7 days that'll help you start to do the work to embody this kind of dominance in your life and your relationship. It also gives you free access to my course, Becoming a Dominant Man. Limited access for 1 week, so you can check it out for yourself. No obligation. So jump in there and get into this work, guys. The world needs men like us. The world needs men who are willing to become our best. And this is what I want to help you do. So thank you for tuning in. Please, if you're listening on Apple, leave a 5-star review, leave comments on YouTube, help me share this episode and get this out into the world. I want to see this impacting as many men as I possibly can, because I care about it. Until next time.